Before I get into this video, I want to make it absolutely clear that I do enjoy other modes in Call of Duty Zombies that aren't round-based, and I do think they should continue to do them. I don't have any issue with them. I think Modern Warfare Zombies is enjoyable for what it is, although I have lots of issues with it, and currently right now have no interest in playing it for other reasons that maybe I'll discuss in another video. But I just thought it'd be good to at least say this because I know I'm going to get a lot of comments with people saying like, oh, it's good to try out new things, which yeah, I agree. I'm fine with that. I'm totally okay with other things in zombies. But right now, there is probably the highest need for round-based zombies content that there's ever been in the entire history of Call of Duty Zombies. It's mostly something I've been hearing in like YouTube comment sections and like TikTok comment sections, not necessarily like the Twitter circles from the hardcore community that constantly play zombies, because honestly, I'm not seeing much of that from them. I think most of them are completely fine with what we have here and are perfectly capable of waiting till 2024's game to play round-based zombies. But when I talk to pretty much anyone outside of this core community, a lot of them are just really antsy for that round-based gameplay, and there's tons and tons of people like that out there. And over the past few months, ever since Modern Warfare 3 Zombies was first revealed in the first place, there's been so many comments I've been hearing from people like questioning and wondering why so many people want round-based so badly. And they've been saying stuff like, oh, just wait until Treyarch's next game, we'll get it then. Or like, oh, round-based is kind of a tired formula now, we want to see something new. And also, people just genuinely curious as to why people even expected round-based zombies in this game in the first place, because it's not a typical Treyarch title. And I have some answers in this video. Some are my own personal opinions, but some are also just the opinions of a lot of people in the community and kind of just my own ideas as to why people probably feel this way. So first of all, I want to individually respond to some of those points I've been constantly hearing. So the first one, of course, is just telling people to wait till Treyarch's next Call of Duty because we'll get round-based then, right? That's the one I've probably been hearing the most out of any of these. And the first response I can give to this is simply that not everyone knows this, right? Obviously, us on Twitter, the hardcore community, we know round-based is coming back next year. That's quite obvious to us, and anybody who's been constantly playing zombies throughout the years, we know Treyarch's not just going to drop it. Kevin Drew even tweeted that round-based isn't going anywhere. There's tons of rumors and leaks that the game is going to have round-based zombies, so we know it's not going anywhere, right? Do the casuals know that? No, of course not. I literally had a conversation with a friend in real life who saw gameplay of this, and his first thought was, what did they do to zombies? Why did they do this to zombies? I want round-based back. He doesn't know that it's going to suddenly come back next year. Of course, I had to say that, but otherwise he wouldn't have known. But even for people who do know that round-based is coming back next year, that doesn't change the fact that their criticisms for Modern Warfare 3 itself not having round-based, they shouldn't just be completely invalid just because, oh, we're getting it next year. And I want to bring up an analogy with the multiplayer modes of Call of Duty. I know people are automatically going to have pushback against this analogy, because yes, of course, multiplayer has been in every single Call of Duty, well, at least the mainline Call of Duties, because I guess you can say like Modern Warfare 2 Remastered technically didn't have a multiplayer mode, but you know what I mean. The majority of Call of Duties, the mainline ones, have all had a multiplayer mode, and Zombies, of course, has not been in every single Call of Duty. But my analogy was essentially just going to be, what if 6v6 was taken out of a multiplayer mode? What if next year they release multiplayer and they announce, we're not doing 6v6 this year. There is no 6v6 maps. There's no 6v6 modes. It is just ground war. That is it. You can play ground war. You can play Warzone. That's it. It's the open world modes. That's it. We are not letting you play 6v6 this year. People would be furious. It does not matter if 6v6 is going to suddenly return the next year. That doesn't matter. They can even say that themselves, but that does not change the fact that they are going to be pissed at the fact that 6v6 is just suddenly not going to be in a brand new Call of Duty experience. Of course, that's going to piss people off. When it's the mode that made Call of Duty what it is in the first place, it's the mode that made it popular in the first place. Of course, people are going to want to see it in every single title going forward. And for Zombies, honestly, it started to become a staple for me ever since they constantly were adding it in every single new Call of Duty since like Advanced Warfare. Remember Advanced Warfare to Black Ops 3 to Infinite Warfare to World War II to Black Ops 4? We had 5 straight years of Zombies. And then even before that, we had Extinction, which wasn't really zombies, but it was still some sort of a zombies-like mode, I guess you can say. And then, of course, before that was Black Ops 2. And so when you look at all the mainline Call of Duty titles, majority of them have had a zombies mode to it. This might shock some people, but out of the 17 mainline Call of Duty titles since Call of Duty 4, 11 of the 17 has had a zombies mode. The only 6 that didn't have a zombies mode were, of course, the 3 original trilogy Modern Warfare games, Then, of course, you also had the more recent Modern Warfare 2019, as well as the very recent Modern Warfare 2 and Call of Duty Ghosts. Now, like I said, Call of Duty Ghosts did have Extinction, and although there wasn't zombies in Modern Warfare 2019 and Modern Warfare 2, they did include zombie events in their Warzone modes later on in the season. Both of those games did. They actually added Zombie Royale, and we had all these like crazy DMC boss fights recently added to Modern Warfare 2's DMZ mode. So yeah, they definitely have zombies being a major part of this franchise, so acting like it's not a staple at this point is kind of ridiculous. Zombies is the most popular third mode by far. They actually just announced recently that Modern Warfare Zombies within this game is the most popular co-op mode in any Modern Warfare game, which is not a surprise to me at all, but it just goes to show that what's the point of these other modes like Spec Ops and Survival, because people just don't play them nearly as much as they play zombies. So I think this does make my argument about zombies being a staple in this franchise a pretty decent argument, a pretty valid one. And of course, if it was first built upon being round-based, then well, of course people are going to expect to see that in every single iteration of it. Another comment I constantly hear is, well, why were you even expecting round-based in this game in the first place? Now, me personally, I wasn't expecting it because when we first heard this game was going to have zombies at all, the original leak was saying it was going to be like an Outbreak 2.0, which is not really what it is. It's more like a DMZ, but with zombies sort of a thing. But, you know, there's certain Outbreak elements there, of course. So originally, I never expected it in the first place. But for the average person, why would they be expecting round-based within a new zombies game if it's not Treyarch's main game? And that just doesn't make sense to me, because if you look at literally every other non-Treyarch Call of Duty game that had zombies, they all had round-based. Every single one of them, even the ones that didn't have round-based at launch, it was added eventually. Now, of course, there's rumors about this game getting round-based later on. That could definitely happen, but at this very moment, it is not in the game, so we're just talking about it as it is currently. But now I want to give my biggest argument here for why people are so pissed about not having round-based in this game, and why personally I am as well. Like, this is big for me. This is probably my biggest reason. And it's simply the fact that round-based content has felt completely shafted the past 4 years. Now let's just do a bit of a comparison here. We're going to take the last 4 years and compare it to the 4 years before the last 4 years. So that's 2015 to 2019 compared to 2019 to 2023. So from 2015 to 2019, let's talk about these round-based zombies content within those 4 years. We had Black Ops 3, which of course, we're not talking about quality here. Quality is completely subjective. We're not going to be arguing about which maps are better. We're talking purely about the objective things about these zombies modes. Objectively, how much content was actually available in this game for round-based. Black Ops 3 had 5 maps, which were all fully loaded experiences with tons of Easter eggs, tons of side quest stuff. There was a lot of content to those maps, a lot of work put into them, a lot of original locations and original assets used for this mode. Of course, the game also had 9 remasters, including the Giant and the Zombies Chronicle stuff, but that's a whole nother thing. But we're talking about just those 5 maps. That is still 5 solid maps right there. Again, not talking about quality, but just in terms of the amount of content there, it was great. Infinite Warfare, another 5 maps with a ton of content and a ton of originality to them. Of course, again, not talking about quality, because I know a lot of people do not like some of those maps in this game. I do personally. I like a lot of the maps in this game. But of course, we're talking about the objectivity here. There's a lot of content in Infinite Warfare. Then you have World War II. 4 fully fledged maps. There's also 4 survival maps, and you have like the Torture Path experience, but Torture Path's not really round-based. But they were able to actually utilize those Torture Path maps as survival maps, so you were able to get that traditional round-based experience. Also, keep in mind, when I say round-based, I'm talking about traditional round-based content. Of course, there are other modes that technically have rounds in zombies, like Outbreak technically had rounds, Onslaught technically had rounds, but they're not traditional round-based is the point I'm making. Then we had Black Ops 4, which had 8 fully loaded maps. I guess technically 7. Classified didn't really have that much content to it, at least compared to the other maps. There wasn't an Easter egg or anything like that. But of course, still tons and tons of content there for zombies. So what is that for those 4 years? That is 22 total maps, like full maps, and then like 13 other maps, whether they're remasters or survival maps. That's a shitload of round-based maps in a 4-year period. That's a lot of content. That is a sufficient amount of content for the community. And that's not even including all the custom maps that were made based off of Black Ops 3's mod tools, but we're not going into mod tools here because that obviously makes this a lot more complicated. And now let's talk about the last 4 years. So from the end of 2019, when Modern Warfare 2019 released, up until today, I guess, that's 4 years. How much content have we gotten for round base since then? We've gotten 4 maps in Cold War, all of which reused a ton of assets from campaign. I mean, come on, literally Mauer Toten and Forsaken are ripped right from campaign. They work. I don't dislike those maps. I just pointing out the fact that in terms of content, there was definitely less like original stuff there. And of course, you also had just not as much content within these maps. I mean, look at those Easter eggs. They were very barren compared to what we saw in Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 4. And then with Vanguard, you only had 2 round-based maps in the game, one of which being a Shinonuma reimagining, just utilizing the Shinonuma location, and the other one, which is the Archon, which utilized an existing location from a prior non-round-based map, which was kind of round-based, but again, like not traditional round-based. I'm not counting Duran Fong and Terra Maldukta because those are not traditional round-based experiences, but they exist as well. So if you want to count those, sure, count them. It really doesn't make much of a difference here. So that means we've only had 6 actual round-based maps in the past 4 years. That is insane. And like I said, those maps are not that content heavy. When you compare them to what we had those past 4 years from 2015 to 2019, the difference is insane in the amount of content we're getting. So you can't be shocked that people are thirsty for content. That's not a shocking thing. And sure, when you take into account these past 3 Call of Duty Zombies games, there were other modes available. Obviously, right now we have this Modern Warfare Zombies mode. We had the other 2 Vanguard maps that I didn't talk about because they weren't traditional round-based. And we had Outbreak in Cold War, along with Onslaught and Dead Ops Arcade 3. So we did have other Zombies content, but it wasn't traditional round-based. And then even when you talk about those other 4 Call of Duties that we were talking about before, they had a bunch of other content as well that wasn't just traditional round-based. I mean, you look at Infinite Warfare, you had the Boss Battles mode. World War II, you had the Tortured Path experience. You go to Black Ops 4, you had Rush mode and you had Gauntlet. And then Black Ops 3 had Dead Ops Arcade 2 Nightmare mode, which I thought was stupid, but it still existed nonetheless. So there has been other sorts of content added in prior Zombies experiences. So it's not impossible to do other modes and also do a significant amount of round-based content. And so why is this happening? Is it because Treyarch is lazy? They don't have passion for zombies anymore? They don't put any effort into it? Of course not. Those are not the reasons why this is happening. I have plenty of issues with how Treyarch has been designing some of these recent zombies games. I don't like the HUDs. I don't like the, influence Warzone has kind of had on the mode. I don't like a lot of the art direction as well. I don't like the Easter eggs. There's a lot of issues I've had with recent zombies games. But it's not because they're lazy. It's not because they're not putting effort into it. They have passion. They do care. So why is this happening? Why is there such a lack of content here? Why are we not getting many round-based maps recently? There's a few reasons for it. So first of all, we had the pandemic, which definitely set Treyarch back quite a bit. Of course, that's probably what made Cold War as lacking in content as it was, at least in terms of original new stuff. Obviously, they had plenty of things to do in the mode, don't get me wrong. You had plenty of different modes, but it wasn't sufficient modes that I genuinely cared about. There wasn't depth there, you know what I mean? The gameplay was very just surface level, let's shoot zombies and grind camos and levels. That's what Cold War felt like, and it was fun, I enjoyed that, but it didn't have the same depth that I felt like prior Zombies had, and I do think the pandemic was a big part of that. They were also clearly rushed on that project as well. And then Treyarch had to go work on Vanguard Zombies the next year, and now they're working on Modern Warfare Zombies, and then they're going to work on COD 2024. So that's another thing. It's not just the pandemic. There's also the fact that Treyarch has been clearly overworked on zombies, and that just shouldn't be the case. And now you might be wondering, well, that makes no sense. You're saying we should have zombies every year. You want more content, but you also don't want Treyarch to work on zombies every year. Well, then how are we going to get zombies every year? Bro, we literally did this back in 2015 to 2019. They had other studios working on zombies. That's the simple solution. And I know you're going to have some dumbasses in the comments who are going to go, well, but only Treyarch can make good zombies. The other studios can't do it. That's just the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. There's so many things wrong with that statement. First of all, there isn't some secret formula to making a good zombies mode. There just isn't. And you know how I know there isn't? Because look at custom zombies. Random people around the world have designed some incredible zombies maps in Black Ops 3 custom zombies. And if random people can do it, that means developers working at a AAA studio can do it as well. I know a lot of people have had their issues with Infinite Warfare zombies, World War II zombies, and Advanced Warfare zombies, but that doesn't mean they can never have a better shot at it in the future. That doesn't make any sense. Look at Treyarch. They've made some significantly different zombies modes that were completely different from one another. Black Ops 4 is very different than Cold War, which is very different to Vanguard, which is very different to Modern Warfare 3. Now, personally, I did really enjoy Infinite Warfare Zombies, and I think World War II Zombies definitely has a lot to offer within it. But again, even if I hated all those modes, I would still give them the benefit of the doubt and want them to get another shot at it. And there are so many studios working under Activision at this point. You have Beanox, you have Raven Software, you have Infinity Ward, you have Sledgehammer Games. There's plenty more actually. I think there's like Activision Shanghai. There's like other companies as well between them. Tons of different companies that could work on a zombies mode. And Treyarch could also just build up their company to be even bigger and have sub-studios within it. Now that Microsoft owns Activision, maybe they'll do stuff like that. Maybe they'll see the potential in zombies and start doing that, because it needs to happen. We can't be having Treyarch being overworked on projects, because it's going to lead to just less depth within their projects, and that's obviously not good for replayability. And I want to spend the last part of this video talking about burnout, because this is also a big argument I've heard for why people want less round-based zombies. So there's people who want less zombies, period. Like, they want zombies to be like once every 3 years and that's it. And then there's another subset of the community that wants it to be every year, but they just want something very different every year. They don't want it to be just round-based. And then, of course, there's people like me who want round-based every year. And the main argument I've been hearing from a lot of people who don't want as much round-based is the whole thing about burnout. They think people are getting burnt out on round-based content. We need something new. We need something fresh. And to that I say, well, first of all, I don't personally understand the burnout argument. I don't think I ever will, because we only had like 5-6 maps a year, like I talked about before, from that 2015 to 2019 period, which I thought was a significant amount of content. I enjoyed that, but I never felt like that was too much. And if it ever was too much, simply just don't play it that much. Like, I don't understand burnout in video games. It never made any sense to me, because nobody's forcing you to play it that often. If you're getting burnt out on a video game, that is your own problem. That means you are playing too much to the point where you are making it not as enjoyable for yourself because you've played it way too much. That is your own fault and not the game's fault. It's simple as that. So a whole burnout thing just never made much sense to me. And in terms of like what else can round-based do, I think there's thousands of things they still haven't done with the round-based formula. There's so many innovations they could still make, and I personally don't even think I need any of those, because even if Call of Duty 2024 literally does not innovate in any way, shape, or form, and instead just perfects on the already existing round-based formula, takes the best aspects of any prior zombies game we've ever seen, I would be completely fine with that, and I think majority of the community would be as well. They would be completely thrilled to just have some really amazing round-based content again. I don't think they would care how much it reinvents the wheel, because if you just have a new experience, a new map with a new Easter egg, new story, new gameplay features, like that's fine. Like, we don't need it to be, oh, a completely different experience. Like, it blows you away. Like, oh my, this is so different. Like, it doesn't have to be different. Look at multiplayer. Look at Modern Warfare 3 multiplayer. It's literally not innovating at all, but people love it because it just perfects on the already existing formula for Call of Duty multiplayer. That's all it does, and people are happy with that. That's all they wanted. They didn't want a bunch of changes. They didn't want a bunch of innovation. They just wanted a solid multiplayer experience, and that's all people want for zombies as well. The moral of the story here is they just need more people working for zombies. They really do. They need to put more budget towards it, more developers, more studios, and then I think we'll be able to get to a place where we can have zombies every year with a significant amount of content, just like multiplayer has most years. Not about every year, but most of the time multiplayer has a significant amount of content, and it's doing fine. And I think zombies just needs that as well. Zombies this year, I think it's fine. I don't think it's bad or anything like that. I've definitely had my issues with it, but I think there's so much more zombies could be. And if next year's Call of Duty is like insane with its zombies mode and it's like the most content we've ever gotten, there's like, you know, and that's not even about the maps necessarily. You can only have like 6 or 7 maps and still have a ton of content as long as those maps are really content heavy and really content rich, just like Black Ops 3 and 4 was. And I'd be fine with that, but it really needs to be like the best we've ever seen, the most we've ever seen, for it to kind of make up for the lack of content over the past 4 years. And then even going into the future after that, like what's going to happen then? Is round-based just going to be every 3 or 4 years, every time there's a new Treyarch game? Or is it going to start being every year starting next year? I have no idea. And if it is going to start being every year starting next year, like then again, my complaints would kind of go out the window and I wouldn't really care anymore. I'd be fine with it. I'd be like, okay, we're getting round-based again. But I just don't see that happening. I see this being, you know, a round-based only when we get Treyarch like every 3 or 4 years. And Sure, could that make it more special because we get it less often? One could argue that, but that's not really the way I see it, because I'm always going to love round-based content no matter what. I don't get sick of it, I don't get tired of it, and I do hope they keep an open world zombies mode alongside the round-based stuff that they can continue to update. Honestly, I do think Modern Warfare Zombies should be free to play. I think it would make more sense to be alongside the Warzone experience, kind of like DMZ was, or not kind of like, exactly like DMZ was, and then the paid content would be all the round-based stuff. I think that would kind of be a better system, but I guess for Modern Warfare 3's sake, they didn't have anything else for the co-op mode, so they had to make this paid or else it just wouldn't work. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for this, but I'm open to arguments. I'm open to some debates in the comments. If you disagree with me, I would love to hear it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.